Hey guys, it's Kevin in my review for Sound of Metal. So what Sound of Metal is essentially about is we center on the character of Ruben. He is a recovering drug addict who has been in this rock duo for a long time now. He's very successful. He's at a point where they're going on tours and things like that. But one day when he is playing, he starts to realize that his hearing is going away, and basically after this, Ruben tries to do everything he can to brace for the inevitable when his hearing goes away completely. So, Sound of Metal overall, I was really excited for this film. This is a film that I've heard many things about, especially like all the way back in Sundance and things like that. I've heard many people say this is a must-see film. It's something that nobody is going to be prepared for, and so I was very excited to finally see it. It came out on Friday. I really have not heard too many people talk about it, and it's a shame because Sound of Metal is absolutely one of my favorite films of the entire year. It's a very uncomfortable and I think very special kind of experience that a lot of people are not ready for, but a film that I really encourage everyone to see as soon as possible. But we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. And I will say right now, if the cast in this film was not as good as they really were, I don't think this film would be as good as they really were, especially when it comes to our lead performance here from Riz Ahmed, who I have been praising for a very long time now, all the way back to the night of. I remember when I saw that show, I knew he was going to be a star, and he gives what is easily his best performance yet, I think, in this film, because Ruben is someone that, he knows what is going to happen to him, but he's so terrified of this transition. He knows the impact that this is going to have to him, and so you're just kind of, he's just kind of waiting for the worst possible things to happen, and it's a very slow crawl to that. And, a lesser actor could make that feel very melodramatic, could make that feel very fake, but Ahmed really goes all in here in making it feel like this is what it's like to lose something so important to you. You get the sense that this is something that matters a lot to Ruben, and the transition where he ends up going, the way he braces for this inevitability, but also the way that he eventually comes to accept it, I think was just so beautifully performed by Ahmed. There are many moments where he doesn't talk very much, obviously because of him losing his hearing, yet you're able to understand every single emotion. You're able to tell everything that he's going through, and I think he just did such a great job at playing this character. It's by far his best performance yet, and definitely, I think, one of the best performances of the year. If it was up to me, I think this is definitely an Oscar-nominated performance. I don't know if he's going to get in there, but I really hope he does, because he really does make this film something very special for sure. And I if anything else, I just hope this is able to put him further on the map, because I've always thought Ahmed is a great talent, and this film just shows even further just how great of an actor he truly is. And the rest of the cast here also does some really great work. Olivia Cooke is very good as Ruben's girlfriend. I very much enjoyed her here. Paul Raci is definitely not being talked about enough. This is an actual deaf person. Like, this is not an actor. To my knowledge, he really has not acted in much of anything before, but I hope after this film he does, because he definitely is very talented for sure. There really isn't a lot of stuff that he's done, and I hope he's able to continue, doing work after this film, because again, he definitely does have it in him. Joe is very much like the beating heart of this film in many ways, and I really liked his character a lot. I thought the bond between him and Riz Ahmed was really good. The chemistry between him and Olivia Cooke is very strong too, but especially with Paul Raci, I really enjoyed their scenes together a lot, and I thought he did a really great job in this film. Lauren Ridloff as well, I definitely really did enjoy. She's not in the film a ton, but whenever she's there, I really did appreciate her. And Mathieu, Amalric, for what he had, I thought he did a really good job. Really, this entire cast, everyone is just really great here. It's really cool that they were actually able to get real deaf actors into this film. It made things feel that much more authentic overall, and that's something I just really end up appreciating about this film. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that is definitely, I think, one of the things that really sticks out about this film. The directing by Darius Marder, this is a name that I don't think many of us have heard of, but I think after this film, we absolutely are going to, because he just does a really great job, I think, with giving this film a very specific style, but also putting a lot of passion into it. He rides a fine line between making this feel very thrilling and saddening, but also giving it a sense of hope and a sense of spirit. He has a lot of respect for the deaf community, and I really did appreciate that a lot. I really love the passion that he put into this. You could really just see how much this mattered to him, and I thought he did a really good job in creating the most fulfilling experience possible with when it came to this. And I just thought overall his directing was really well done here. Definitely some of the best directing, I think, of the year so far. But the screenplay as well is really well done, especially when it comes to Ruben, because this is very much a character study of sorts. Yes, the film is revolving a lot around how he has gone deaf, and that journey alone is very interesting. You know, you kind of put yourself in that scenario, especially for someone like Ruben, who has such a passion for music. This is something that means so much to you. It's something that you do all the time, and so the idea that suddenly your hearing is going to go and you're not going to be able to do what you love anymore, it's a really devastating feeling. And for a while, this definitely is a film that can be very hard to watch at points. But what I think is really well done about the script is that Marder isn't trying to make this a depressing film. He's trying to make it a realistic and almost hopeful film. Yes, the film is very raw, but a lot of the film is about trying to just accept it and how you're able to get on with your life after that. And for Ruben, this is very difficult, not just because of the fact that he loves music so much, but also because he is in fact an addict. And not just when it comes to drugs. Music itself is almost an addiction for him. It's something that he can't bear losing. He's constantly throughout the film trying to find ways to preserve his hearing. You know, he's told by a doctor, like, you shouldn't be doing as much loud music anymore. You shouldn't be participating in this kind of stuff. He still does it because he's very much addicted to it. And you really do find yourself you really do find yourself latching onto that as a character, because people are stubborn in that way. We're told to do something, but we do the opposite anyway because it's what we love. We don't want to lose, doing what we love. It's like when you lose your voice for a little bit and like you're told like, oh, you can't, like if I were to lose my voice and was told like don't do reviews, I still would probably do them. And obviously that's not nearly as drastic as losing your hearing permanently. But I'm just trying to say, like, it's similar in the sense where it's something that you love doing, and there's this stipulation, and it's causing you from doing what you love, but yet you do it anyway. And for Ruben, again, music is something that is very important to him. But the film also does a really good job of showing how he's able to continue doing that. And that's what I really did enjoy about this film. It's not like once he gets to the deaf community and starts to explore it more, the film gets boring. No, it only gets more interesting from there, because this is where Ruben really starts to see more people who are affected by this. But what the film does do really well is that they make it clear that these people in the deaf community, they don't view this as a weakness. They don't view it as a hindrance. They actually view it as a strength. They view it as something that keeps them going. They try to look beyond it and find new ways to do what they love. And that's what is so compelling about Ruben as a character, is that he has to find new ways to do what he loves. And I think that's something that Marder did a really good job at writing here, but also Abraham Marder as well, who co-wrote the film with him. I just think their screenplay is very well done in that regard. And again, Ruben's a character that I just found myself endlessly attached to because of it. Because again, he's going through a very human situation, and it's a horrifying situation for sure, but it's one that is inevitable, and eventually he's going to have to accept it. And he does eventually. And where the film ends up going with that, I think is also really interesting. And that's something else that I really did appreciate about this film a lot. So yeah, I think the writing here is really well done in that regard, but then also seeing how it affects other people around him, like Olivia Cooke's character, for example, and how she is so committed to making sure that this works out for him. She's so committed to making sure that he gets checked out immediately, that he gets the help that he needs. You can see how badly his addiction used to be, and she treats this like it is an addiction, because it very much is, and it gives you some insight into her character as well, which I really did appreciate, and I really like seeing that. But then the other members of the deaf community, like, say, Paul Raci, for example, like I said, he really is like the beating heart of this movie, because he's someone that also is deaf. He has, like, things in his ears, and he's able to read lips, but he is completely deaf. He can't tell what anyone is saying throughout this movie, but yet he's able to just go on with his life, and he's always looking at things in a very positive light. And I really ended up liking his character a lot, because, again, he is someone that you would expect to be very bitter. You would expect him to be, doing things in a very, again, saddening manner, but he's very positive because he's content with what's happened to him. And I really liked that about Joe as a character. I found him to be one of the best characters of the entire film, and I think he's a character that a lot of people are going to feel very drawn to, especially people who have gone through something like this before. I think Joe is a very good embodiment of how you're able to get through something like this. Again, he doesn't view it as a weakness. He views it as a strength. He views it as a way to basically just continue living, and he finds different ways to do that. And I really think for people who have gone through similar scenarios and things like that, there's some really good, like, coping mechanisms and things like that. And just overall, I really enjoyed the writing a lot here. I think it's very well done, and definitely one of my favorite screenplays of the year. I really love the way this film was written. The cinematography here, though, also is absolutely incredible. You really do find yourself put into this environment. It's a very visceral film in that way, and I think that's definitely one of the best parts of it. But the real thing that sticks out in this film, and the thing I think that impresses me the most, is the sound design here, which is otherworldly in this film. Very often the film has these moments where the sound will cut out, and you are experiencing what Ruben is, where someone will be a little muffled, or they'll be a little bit more quiet than usual, or maybe you just won't be able to hear them at all. And it's trying to put you into Ruben's perspective, what he hears, or more likely what he, or more importantly, what he doesn't hear. And I thought that was a really interesting way to do it. It made the film feel that much more personal and that much more intimate in that way, because it really did feel like we're getting a very close look at what Ruben has to go through on a daily basis, but not just go through, what his current, lifestyle, what he's gonna have to face eventually. And I thought that was really well handled when it came to the sound design here. There's a lot of moments in this movie where you can't tell what anyone is saying. There's a lot of very quiet scenes of just Ruben, going about things, whether it's him and Lauren Ridloff's character, who is this deaf teacher, and him trying to entertain these kids in some way, maybe him teaching them how to drum or something like that, just stuff like that. Those were some of my favorite moments in this movie, because the film really embraces that quietness, similar to how a lot of the people in the deaf community embrace the quietness. They enjoy the blissful silence around them, and they find ways to entertain themselves. And I thought that was one of the best aspects of this film. I really appreciated the sound design a lot here. If there is any justice in the Academy, this film will get a nomination for sound design. Like I said, I think Riz Ahmed definitely should be nominated as well, but sound design is the other big one that, like, I'm really pulling for here, because I think this film definitely has a very, very good, really has a great, should have a very good chance of getting sound design. I would definitely put it in that category for sure. And the editing here, that is my one flaw with this film, I will say. I think the editing, for the most part, this film is very well edited. It's just a little over 2 hours, and it really did fly by for me. There wasn't really a point in this film where I wasn't into it. I thought, for the most part, this film was very investing. I found myself very drawn to everything that was going on. I thought the editing was just really good to this film overall. So again, I think this is a really well-handled film. I think there's a lot of things that really do work here. Is there anything that brings it down? Well, the only thing I will say is that the third act of this movie, they try to dive a little bit deeper into an aspect of Olivia Cooke's character's life, and while I did appreciate it, I thought it happened a little too late into the film. I would have liked it if it would have been spread out a little bit more. I think it would have been that much more effective. There's a conversation that Ruben has that I did really enjoy, but I just thought it was happening all at once, and I would have liked them to maybe take a break and space things out a bit, and I think that would have made things that much more effective. That being said, the final shot of this film is one of the most contemplative and one of the most impressive that I have seen all year. It's one of those final shots that is really going to stick with you a lot. I watched this movie back last Friday, like literally a week ago, and I'm still thinking about what that final shot really means, you know, how impactful that final shot was, and that just tells you how great of a film this really is. Overall, guys, Sound of Metal is absolutely one of my favorite films of the entire year. It's a wholly original experience. It focuses on a subject that could be very tragic, but goes in a more hopeful and inevitable direction. It's got a star-making performance from Riz Ahmed, who I think is definitely, hopefully takes off after this film. He's been doing stuff, but after this film, I hope he continues to get more and more work, because he definitely has it in him for sure. He's such a phenomenal actor. And Paul Raci as well, I think, is also really great here. Just the entire cast as well. Everyone gives a great performance. It's got a really great directorial debut from Darius Marder, and some of the most unique sound design you will see all year. It's nothing short of one of the best films of the entire year, and I'm definitely going to give Sound of Metal overall an A. It honestly really sucks that Mank had to come out last week, because as much as I do enjoy that film, I feel like this film got completely overshadowed by that. Like, nobody's really talking about this film, and it really sucks, because I do think this is definitely the better of the two for sure. But overall, guys, in my review of Sound of Metal, let me know what you guys saw of this movie overall. If your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.